of all, I want to thank everybody for joining us as people continue to come in. This is going to be wonderful. It looks like a full house. A lot of the people that signed up are here, and that is just amazing, amazing. There's also people live streaming, and this will be available up on Opera as well as on the YouTube channel. And any of the members that are here that want to do their own masterclass, just connect with me and we will get you scheduled. Right now, I'm booking November and December. We try to do one about every 2 to 3 weeks. I don't want to bombard people with all of this stuff. Apart from that, everything is really, really good. The magazine's doing really well. We're just under 76,000. That was after our 5,000 member purge or subscriber purge. I went through and deleted a bunch of people that we thought weren't real people and so forth. So we lost quite a bit over the last month, but we're back up to about 76, which is good. We brought in just under 70,000 views on the website this month, and we're just shy of 100,000 views this month on YouTube. So the numbers are doing really, really well. I'm really happy. Membership is also up. We lost a couple of the early members, but we're sitting right at 60 now, and really happy with that. I do want to make a formal but non-formal announcement that Frank is undergoing some medical challenges. And if everyone can say a prayer for him, it looks like he's going to be going in for a triple bypass. So he's not going to be with us for quite a while, and hoping that everything pulls through. So if everyone can just say a prayer for Frank, that would be great. Other than that, yeah, I'm really, really stoked. We had Ferrari Challenge last month. That was really, really great. Porsche was there for that. This week, I keep saying next week. It's 2 days from now. We're going to be in Monterey for Monterey Car Week. And it looks like Big Sur is on fire. So we're going to end up having to cancel our plans for Friday. And I think we were talking now about maybe going whale watching on Friday instead of going up to Big Sur on Friday. So, of course, we'll have pictures and video for everybody there. Other than that, I think it's Porsche's turn. She's going to be talking today about accountability, and I don't think that there's anybody better, more suited for this role than Porsche. I mean, she's in the position that we all want to be in, which is running a city, which I think is just the coolest thing in the world. It's so funny. I drive through Citrus Heights and I look at just how vast it is, and I go, it's amazing that somebody is actually making sure that all of these things function and work, and we're lucky enough to know this person. So I think it's just super, super cool. So Portia, it's your floor, my dear.
Thank you, Quinn. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I love talking about accountability because it's not really what you think it is. So I always start with a question, and it's why do some leaders consistently produce results while others struggle, even when they have access to essentially the same resources? So you'll see some folks who are, sitting around, they're two managers at a company, and one is just knocking it out the park. They got the same background, the same education, same training. So what makes it so that one's more successful than the other? And we usually assume that difference is, well, they're more talented. They have more experience, more intelligence, connections, money. But I really don't think that that's what it is, because we've all met incredibly talented people who never quite get to where they're going. And I know personally, I've met people who may not have had every advantage in life, but somehow they consistently got things done. The difference is often accountability. And I'm not talking about being accountable in the traditional sense of someone holding you responsible when something goes wrong. I'm talking about the accountability required when you're running a business, leading people, consulting, creating something, or building your career. Because most of us in this room don't have a problem with effort. Well, let me check. Raise your hand. Does anyone here have a problem with effort? All right, cool. All right, we're on the right track. So the thing is, we're busy. We have a calendar full of meetings. We have clients, employees, families, deadlines, and a to-do list that somehow gets longer every time we complete something. I don't know about you, but at the end of the night, I sit down, I'm so happy, I'm crossing all the things off my to-do list, and then I'm looking and I'm like, oh crap, crossed off 3, here goes 6 more, right? And so if we're working this hard, why are we always making progress on the things why aren't we always making progress on the things that we say matter the most? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I call it the accountability drift. And what I mean is that most people don't wake up one morning and decide, I'm no longer going to be accountable. It's something that actually gradually happens. You said you were going to launch something by June 13th. June 13th becomes July 27th, or you need to have a difficult conversation with an employee, but this week isn't a good week, or you had a strategy you were committed to, and then someone showed you something new. There was a new AI tool or a new way to post something on socials, and suddenly you're working very hard on something completely different from what you originally said was important. And that's the accountability drift. It's the gradual movement away from a commitment or desired outcome through a series of seemingly reasonable choices. You're going around, you're thinking, oh, well, that's reasonable. If I try that, it won't take away too much time from what I'm doing. It won't, it might actually help me save time or make more money. And I really want to make sure I emphasize the reasonable part of this because that's what makes this so dangerous. The things that pull successful people off course aren't usually ridiculous. It's not because you're throwing $40,000 at, sponsoring a circus coming to town or something like that. They're perfectly reasonable reasons to be, maybe doing what you think you should be doing. The first thing that creates the accountability drift is excuses. And I have a very simple belief about excuses. Summer, kids are still home. Uh, um, is that every excuse has a price tag. Okay, so when you're doing this, you don't think about the problem that we usually don't get the bill today. If every excuse cost us $500, we'd probably stop making them. But that's not how it works. The invoice comes later. So maybe it's the client who doesn't renew, Quinn. We've talked about that in depth. Maybe it's an employee who stops trusting that leadership will follow through. Maybe it's revenue we never generated. Or maybe it's a business idea that's still sitting in a notebook 3 years later. And leaders always have the best excuses because we're intelligent people. We can make our own excuses sound very reasonable. I don't have the right team yet. The market isn't quite right. I'm waiting until things settle down. I just need a little more information. How many of you have said these things to yourself? Yeah. And some of those things may be true, but I think we're asking the wrong question. Instead of asking, is my excuse legitimate? Ask yourself, what is the explanation costing me? Because eventually that invoice is going to arrive. And the second thing that it creates the accountability drift is discomfort. And that is something I've come to believe very strongly. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they never stay with one uncomfortable problem long enough to solve it. And when you think about business, when sales get difficult, or you're having a difficult time hiring, or you're managing some difficult employees, and cash flow gets a little bit uncomfortable, we have to confront these things. We might need to raise our prices. We might need to fire someone. And then something interesting happens. Another opportunity appears. When we actually stop and suddenly think that new opportunity looks much more attractive than the uncomfortable problem sitting in front of us, that's when things get really out of whack because capable people have options. We can pivot. We can start something else. We can launch another service. We can find another opportunity. But sometimes that's not the answer. The answer is not another opportunity. Sometimes the answer really is just sitting here and solving the problem right there in front of you. And because sometimes that breakthrough is sitting on the other side of the part that we've been trying to avoid. So I don't know how many of you guys believe in God, the universe, or whatever, but sometimes if you just kind of just sit with it and you're uncomfortable and you just kind of like meditate on it, and then you're like, aha, I got the answer, right? And by doing that, you're actually giving your mind and your body time to come together to figure out how to solve the problem, rather than just saying, oh, emotionally, I'm uncomfortable. This feels weird. I want to go do something else to make me feel better. It's that dopamine hit that people are always talking about. And the third thing is distraction. And when we're talking about distraction, we're not talking about sitting around watching television. There is a good thing about having some downtime, binge watching, Game of Thrones or whatever you're into. Um, the distraction that gets high performing people is much more sophisticated. Uh, our distractions look productive. It's another networking event. It's another certification, another partnership, another strategy, another business idea, or another tool. Like with AI coming out, there's always these tools that are coming out. And none of these things are inherently bad. they just make them dangerous because you feel like you can justify every one of those ideas, right? Your biggest competitor is not another company. It's the constant temptation to stop doing what's already working in pursuit of something that might work better. Sometimes we're so busy looking for the next thing that we never give the current thing enough time to actually work. I experienced this when I first started my agency back in January. I was like, okay, everything's running smoothly. Now we're going to go over here and we're going to try and get credentialed with private insurances. $50,000 in the hole later, I realized leave well enough alone, right? And because it was working and it wasn't quite the time to do that. But instead of focusing on how do I bring in more revenue using the model that I have, I said, well, let's try to diversify and find, something else that's new and shiny and it's giving me that dopamine hit that I'm looking for. So I want to flip this conversation a little bit with you guys. We spend a lot of time right now just talking about accountability. And I think that accountability has an enemy we don't talk nearly enough about, and it's our inability to protect our attention. And I want you to kind of pause and really think about that. You can't remain accountable to something that you're no longer paying attention to. You can't build momentum if your attention is constantly moving. And you can't become excellent at something if you keep abandoning things. So I've come to think about accountability differently, and that's why I feel like I've been successful in all the things I've done. So when you're protecting your attention enough through discomfort and distraction, it produces a meaningful result. It's different from saying that I take responsibility. Responsibility is important, but accountability requires staying with that commitment after the excitement is gone, after it becomes difficult, after another opportunity appears, and particularly when nobody's checking in on you. As business owners, we know it can be very lonely. And sometimes, when nobody's checking in and say, hey, how are things going? How's business going? And you don't have to, report back to someone to say, yeah, things are going great or they're not going so great. You kind of check out a little bit. You keep doing this until there is a result. You keep at it. And so I want to leave you with something practical. Think about one commitment you made, not 10, just one, right? Something important to your business, your career, your team, or your leadership. And with that, want you to ask yourself 3 questions. Where have I drifted? What did I say was important that is no longer receiving my attention? So if you said that, hey, I want to make sure that every Friday I'm checking in on my books and keeping my books clean, are you doing that? And if not, what are you using to justify that drift? Is it an excuse or discomfort? Typically for us, I would say that if you're ignoring your QuickBooks, it's because there's a discomfort in seeing the realization of the numbers and what's going on. Or maybe you just became distracted by something newer or more interesting. But and then the third question is, what does accountability require from me next? Not next month, not when things calm down, not when I feel like I finished the rest of everything. It's just, what is that next thing I need to do? We've all heard about, like, eat the frog, right? Take the first 10 minutes of your day to really outline what you need to do, get your top 3, and then knock them off. And that's the same thing I'm asking you to do when it comes to that one thing that you said you're going to be accountable for, is find that checklist and do that task, get it done. And once you return your attention to something that you've already decided was important, you'll notice that it gets so much easier, because this is something where it's about the more consistent you are about doing this, the easier it becomes over time. So when you leave today, I want you to remember 3 things. All right. Excuses have a price, and only you really know what that price tag is for your business. Discomfort is not necessarily a signal to stop. I know sometimes folks tell you, well, if you're meeting resistance, just quit. It's not the right path. That's not always true. Some of the most important, amazing things are born out of the fact that you've sat down and you really worked through discomfort and found an amazing solution that'll help you grow in the long run. And distraction can look remarkably similar to productivity. If you're going to, 10 networking meetings a week, and what you're getting there, and out of the 10, 8 of them only have 5 people show up, and you already know those 5 people, it it looks productive, but the ROI on that is not where you actually want it to be. And is the thing you're avoiding worth what you're going to pay to avoid it? I always come back to that, because at the end of the day, every action and inaction has a cost. And you have to decide, is that a cost that you're willing to pay? So I also would love to hear some questions for you all. And at the end of this, I'll send over to you all just a little cheat sheet for you to keep by your desk for you to kind of reflect on and keep it in front of you so you can say, hey, it's a little reminder about how you can actually keep yourself accountable and not drift off the path. So are there any questions?
What do you do to you're busy, you've got 200 things to do. Tony Robbins always said, do the hard stuff first and then work on the easy stuff later. Is that something that you really stand by, or are you kind of like me in the sense where you're like, I'll just stay up till 3 in the morning and make sure everything is done?
I can tell you that I've done the 3 in the morning bit, and having two kids, one with special needs, doesn't work. What I would tell you that doing the hard things are not always going to pay off for you. Sometimes the hard things are things you might need to delegate. Like I know that I can't run payroll and like all of my caregiver schedules. I have an admin who does that and I manage that admin, right?
Hmm.
You have to know what is going to be the most for your ROI for yourself. So ROI is return on investment, right? As an owner of a company, you have a hourly amount that you're worth, right? And you need to
Hmm.
calculate out what that means. So like you're not probably, if you have employees, you're probably not your $20, $25 hour employee rate. You're probably somewhere double or maybe, two and a half times that rate. So if this
Hmm.
is not a task, what did my mentor tell me? If this is not um, a $10,000 task, it's probably something you can delegate. So think about it
Yeah,
like that. It's
that's it. That's actually really, really good advice. That was really good advice. Amy, you're growing your business. Um, and you've scaled quite a bit. What do you have any questions for Portia, and maybe something that she can help you take your operation to the next level?
Um, well, interestingly, I had the same question about that suggestion of starting with the hearts that you asked it as I was forming the question about do you do some simpler tasks to kind of gain momentum, or how do you prioritize what's I mean, because I just I'm all over the place. I've scaled some, not quite not quite a bit yet. He gives
Yeah,
me a lot of credit. We are growing a lot. We're on a steady track, but I'm in a constant kind of uh feast or famine cycle.
that
okay.
I don't know if that ever goes away, honestly, because as a business owner, especially when we're passion driven, essentially what happens is you see, let's say you start at you make your first $1,000 a month, and you're like, ooh, I'm going to put the money back into the business. Then you get to $10,000 a month, and you're like, ooh, I'm going to put that money back into the business. Then you get to $20,000 a month, and you're like, ooh, I'm going to put the money back into your business. And so, at one point, you have to sit back and go, you know what? I need to start paying me, and so it does. I don't know if that ever goes away, where you're always in that space where you're trying to expand and grind.
Well, Amy, I would say that no, it never goes away, but also would you say your business is like referral based?
Yeah, I'm a cleaning company. And
Great.
so we're lots of referrals and the scaling that Quinn was talking about is that it's a kind of this is my life's work, and so I'm uh I'm extracting myself from the daily operations
Hmm.
uh slowly over the last couple of years, and it's looking hopeful. I have a manager who's doing a lot more,
I'm
and
so
so I'm
proud of you.
learning how to hand things off, and um I'm residential based, and so what this with scaling that we're talking about is we're scaling into commercial, and it is, we've gotten we get like a new commercial account a month the last few months.
That's
So
great.
maybe in a couple of months I'll feel some of that too. Um
Yeah.
but I don't
And to
have
take
a lot of
away
business strategy, so I kind of my business is a cash monster right now.
Yeah, so to take away some of that stress, I would say that since you've got such a great team who's running the day-to-day operations, your goal as, the CEO owner should be to focus on how to maintain those relationships, those touch points, and then looking for any areas where you might be able to kind of expand and expand your referral base. You should be the person managing all of those connections, because that's what actually keeps things going. So the more you have your hands on doing your referrals and you talk to them, hey, what's going on with your business? Just a check in. You know, say, hey, you want to meet up for 15, 30 minutes for a coffee, or, whatever it is, do that. And then start also thinking about if there's like one event that you could do that could bring most of your clients in. Just say, hey, I appreciate you guys. And that way you're having this one big touch point that your staff can manage the event marketing up until that point. And so, it's for new people and folks you're already servicing, and say, hey, I really appreciate you. And this is what our company values stand for. Come meet our employees. You are the brand. As you're at the point where you're expanding, you are now the brand, and you're that person who's out there cheerleading and maintaining relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've
That's
got a
really
great
fun.
space for it too. You could,
I'd
if
love
you
to
put
have you.
something together at your space, we could, as a group here. I mean, many of us would show up to that and support you. And of course, we'll promote the hell out of it on our
Great.
platform.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
that. I do have a good space here. It's one of these, it's like a flex space. And so I've got a roomy office in the front and the warehouse in the back. And the warehouse, we're kind of busting at the seams when the cars are parked back there at night. But the office space is way more office than I need. And it's really pretty.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm really, really happy for you. Anybody else have questions?
Okay,
Yep.
so Portia, you mentioned that when you come upon a hard topic that you really are, whatever you're trying to avoid or whatever, or I'll speak for me, when I come upon a hard topic and I want to avoid it, at what point do I let it go? You said meditation or whatever it is that I do, but at what point do I mean, I just feel like I have to keep pushing through until I solve, that whatever it is I'm trying to solve.
So this is where I would say that one, if you're at that point where you're kind of like doing that circular thinking, you want to stop and find other people with either within your industry or who are familiar with what you do, and problem shop that out, right? So try to solve the problem. So here's what I'm up against, and have you ever had any experience with this, or what would you do in this situation, to get you some ideas
Mhm.
around if it's even something that's possible to be solved. If you're getting to the point now where you're like you're 30 days in and you're still grinding mentally on it, it might not be solvable, but it's always great to at that point go and talk to other folks and say, hey, what's been your experience, and see if you can workshop any ideas out of that. And if you come up still with, you're empty handed, then you say, okay, well, that doesn't work. So if that doesn't work, then what should be my next step? Right. Your
Mm.
goal is always to move yourself to that next step. It's not say, oh, abandon. It's like, well, now is the time. Do I need to pivot? Is there something I need to change? It's not something with my model, or maybe I don't have the right employees. That's when you start to look outside.
And our group is really supportive. I mean, if it's a business question, a bookkeeping question, you can always reach out to a different bookkeeper and say, "Hey, what is, if you experience this, what's an angle that I should take?" If it's a business question, leadership question, I mean, Portia and I, we've gone back and forth on multiple scenarios as to how do we handle a situation like this? Have you experienced this? It's so funny. At 10 o'clock at night, I'm getting a call, and I'm like, do you have a minute? Hell yeah, I got a minute. What's up? That's the whole thing. Is I think that's what's really neat about this group and why we're doing what we're doing, is because we all need to be able to lean on each other. We don't have the answers, or we would all be billionaires, right? So the fact that we've got all of these heads all together, yeah, to help you solve through that stuff. And we're all at different levels and different skill sets too. And
Mhm.
I might be good at this but not be good at that, and that's where we can lean on each other and find those answers.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any really great questions?
Quinn, I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to commend Portia. This is really incredible stuff here. I'm somebody that suffered from what you're talking about years ago, and I've gotten a lot better at it from it, from my mentor and the coach that I've hired. Yet some days and some weeks I feel myself veering off and getting that. So hearing this refresher from you, it like got me zoned back in today to just slap me around and let me know to stay on track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And again, have you two sat down and actually gotten to know each other yet?
I have not, but I'd love to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
connect. Absolutely, absolutely. Kenneth is really starting to get more involved. He sent over what 4 or 5 referrals this week, and they've all scheduled now to come on the show. And that's great relationships and great future for what we're building here. And just having somebody as strong as Kenneth now is just it's awesome. It's awesome, awesome. So. Let's start to wind her down. Can we get one more question from somebody if they've got something?
Give me whatever. If you've got a problem, I'm willing to sit right here with you and workshop it through. So give me what you got.
Well, I don't have a question. I'm like Kenneth. I'm like, oh, you're just walking down my lane, Porsche, stay out of my business.
Sorry, I read your diary.
Oh my gosh, staying on task, and like you said, the accountability to yourself, and one thing will come up and then something else will come up, and it's like, okay, I really need to do this. This is the big thing that I need to do. And then other things, like you said, things that do come up, like, a team will call and I need this, and of course you have to, cater to that, and then something else may come up, or is still priority. And so then the big thing kind of gets pushed off, and it's not that it's a hard thing to do, but it's a time consuming thing to do. And so it's like you really have to figure out, do you do it little bit by little bit, because you still try to fit things in, like I had this on the calendar weeks ago, and so of course now I have to get this in because I already committed to this, so there's just those little things, and you want to do it. You don't want to do it like every day and all that other stuff, but when I get the opportunity, because I am busy. So when you're a busy person and you have little tasks to do and you have big tasks to do, how do you handle that without procrastinating that bigger task? I know you said just do it, but sometimes you just don't have the time to do it, or when you start to do it, something else comes that is a priority that you need to take care of. How do you handle that?
So I heard a couple things there. You might have interruptions from staff or your team who need things. And the first thing I tell my team when they call me up, can this wait 30, 40 minutes? Is it, pressing that it has to be done right now? Yes. Okay. I can give you 10, 15 minutes max, to address this, right? Because I really want to empower them to, when I'm not around, to be able to solve this. You would hate to be on vacation in Tahiti somewhere and they're over here WhatsApping you, right? Talking about, oh, I can't find this. So that's one thing. It's like empowering your team to kind of figure it out on their own. And when it comes to, you've got a big something to get done. Like, for instance, I was running for reelection for my third time on city council. And luckily I didn't have to because my opponent decided not to file. So I went outright. But Quinn will tell you, I had all of my stuff done, all of my social media posts, all of my graphics, everything written up, the website updated, everything, just in case that was not going to be the case. And because I had to take that time out to do that, I told my team and my other folks, I can't do these things. Let's get this administrator to take on these tasks, at work, so that, that I can focus on this, because this is important, right? I said, it's only going to take me, 7 days. And I gave myself a hard timeline. So this is all I'm working on for the next 7 days to get it done. And so then they had to go out and do assessments and like do other things, with talking to referral partners and stuff. But it gave me the space. So as the CEO, you can change your schedule and you can change the tasks and responsibilities for your employees temporarily. You can tell folks, I need you to step up because I got this really big thing going on. And if I don't accomplish this, none of us are going to be successful, right? We're all going to be having to have to pay that invoice at the end of the day of me not doing something that I know that only I can do. And that's my next thought for you, all of you. If it's something that only you can do, that is a priority. If it's something that you can delegate to someone else, delegate. Only do the things that only you can do.
Wow.
That's good.
Wow. That is damn good advice. Wow.
10 years.
I'm going to
10
turn
years.
that
It
into a
took me a long
short,
time.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Rockstar. I know, right? We're all sitting there like, all right, we have homework to do. Okay, good. Hey, I want to thank you, first of all, Portia. Thank you so much. Good grief, man. every time we do one of these, we all sit there and our minds are just blown. We're like, this is why we're doing this. It's so good stuff. And of course, I want to thank everybody for attending. We've had, I don't know, 5 or 6 people live streaming right now, which is just really cool. And wow, what a community. Thank you all so much. Get connected with Portia. Schedule sit downs if you haven't already. She will find time to sit down with all of you guys. She has with quite a few of the members, and they're all working on something. In fact, Kyle just came on board, and the 2 of you guys are working on something. You and
Yeah.
Joelle sat down. You and my wife talked,
Yeah.
and then somebody else. You were working with somebody
Blossom.
else. Blossom and
Mhm.
April.
Yeah.
And yeah, just incredible. So, just everybody needs to all be connecting. Your information is all up in the directory. Also, I do want to add, there's now an option for you to add a description of your business to the directory. So with your black card, hop in there, go back to that membership submission, and you can now submit a description of your business into the directory. And so now that'll rank on Google and start helping you with your SEO, the backlinks and stuff. So boom. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Get out of here. Go make some money. Have fun. If you need anything, reach out to me. Portia, if you can hang on the line for just a minute.
Yeah.
And absolutely amazing. Thank you all so much. And if any of you want to do a masterclass, just reach out to me, and we'll figure out what we want to do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Great
guys.
seeing you.
Yes,
All right,
thank you.
thanks, Portia. Thank you.
Bye.